60 years ago, cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin blasted into Earth orbit, marking the beginning of the human spaceflight era. In humanity's first half-century as a spacefaring moving species, government-run space programs put people on the moon and began to master low Earth orbit. The next 100 years should bring a sea change, with commercial companies taking over near-Earth operations and freeing NASA and other space agencies to send astronauts to asteroids and Mars. Here are the space operations and achievements that would happen till 2021. Starting in 2021, China launched its space station core module Tianhe on April 29. After this, China now plans to complete the verification of key technologies and the in-orbit construction of the space station, through multiple launches within 2 years. Virgin Galactic announced that the space tourism company will launch its next test spaceflight on July 11, carrying founder Sir Richard Branson. Kicking off 2021, NASA will launch Artemis 1, an upcoming uncrewed flight. This is the first integrated flight of the agency's Space Launch System heavy lift rocket. It is scheduled to take place no earlier than November 2021. This same mission will take humans to the moon in 2024. Between 2026 to 2030, both NASA and SpaceX will start completing regular trips to the moon. Since both of them will be doing the mission on Starship, there will be less worries on the ship and more on the mission, because Starship has shown its ability. Both of their focus would be to take Starship to the Mars. In the 2030s and 40s, NASA will start building their lunar base with the help of Starship and SpaceX. Meanwhile, countries like China, India, and Russia will be taking their moon mission to a high gear. In the early half of this decade, SpaceX will have completed its first cargo mission to the Mars. All the Elon's fans would be waiting for the company to successfully land their Starship in the second half of the decade. Meanwhile, China would have also placed their man on the moon in the early 2030s. Moving on to the 2040s, the most awaited event of this decade would be the first manned mission on the Mars. SpaceX will start by small, but at the end of the 2040s, the frequency would be higher with dozens of flights. In this decade, SpaceX would be successful in creating a basic life support on the red planet. Uranus is also a possibility in this decade. Because of Uranus's extreme tilt, it's best to visit near its equinox, an event that happens only once in 42 years. The last equinox was in 2007, hence we can see a mission on Uranus in the 2049. Moving on to the 2050 and 2070, countries like China and India would be successful in placing their man on the Mars, and will join efforts in the colonization of the planet. Meanwhile, SpaceX and Blue Origin will solidify their presence on the Mars. Elon Musk would also visit the red planet personally. As for NASA, they would also have built their research space at the planet, but their focus would be more wider, which is to send more people on different moons and planets using the help of Starship. Similar to that of 1970 and 80s. Between 2070 and 2100 the exploration for the space would have died down. However, the new urge which is of commercializing would fire up. More technologies would be created, which will help the common man to afford the cost of rocket travel. At this point, individuals would have been traveling on the rockets for decades, but the time for the average man will come in this decade. There would be spacewalks, lunar travels, space restaurants, and space hotels during this point. You can also get your hands on a Mars tour ticket, right about this time. Between 2100 and 2120, the public interest in the space exploration will become to die down again. At this point, the average person would clearly have an access to space, Mars, and Moon for decades. During this time, taking a vacation to Europe would be same as taking a vacation in space. We will move on to another step in space exploration until another visionary comes and take us to new possibilities. And the cycle will continue.